a final farewell to people you had watched grow up and stuck with for so long. Every time I think of the closing moments of this episode, I can't help but feel saddened. But a good story must have an end, and I couldn't have asked for a more fitting one for the adventure storyline than A Million Points of Light. Finally, the season finale that set the standard, The Fate of Two Worlds. I have to be honest, when this episode first aired in the US, I didn't get to see it because I was in the process of moving to a new house. It wasn't until many months later that I finally got the chance to see it during a rerun, and to this day, it's still able to captivate. Everything about this episode is fun to watch. The final battle with Apocalypse is admittedly short, but I think few people realize how neat this sequence is when seen in retrospect. After all, the closest we'll ever get to seeing all of these Digimon together is 41 episodes away, and that's not counting the time between this finale and the premiere of Zero Two. I also like this final battle because it is one of only two where everyone does something useful, the other one surprisingly enough being in the Frontier finale. It's great seeing all the Digimon team up against Apocalypse, and you can't deny that that shot of War Greymon and Metal Garurumon's combined attack on Apocalypse is visually stunning. It's also fitting that Apocalypse attempts to bring down both worlds with him, because it only further conveys how he only cares for the suffering of others. Following this battle, the digital world returns to normal, and the group takes a photo to commemorate the occasion. However, they soon learn that the gate to the real world will close in 2 hours, never to open again. In my opinion, this is where the finale really shines. It is again one of only two endings that provide those proper farewells that really leave an impression on the audience. And in keeping consistent with the diversity of the cast, each individual farewell has a different feel to it. For example, Ty's is about memories and reminiscence, Matt's is more about bonds than words, and Sora's is about lessons learned. The scene with Izzy and Tenomon is probably my favorite. You're going to have to see it for yourself, but trust me, it is absolutely hilarious. When watching all of this happen, you can really feel the sadness conveyed by the cast, yet you can also tell that they value the experiences they shared with their good friends, and that they all have faith that this separation won't last forever. It enables the audiences to effectively look back on everything that occurred during this season and appreciate the growth that these characters experienced. To me at least, it's a pretty touching sequence, and I honestly couldn't think of a more appropriate setting than the lake where the group was attacked by Seedramon. In short, this is the only conclusion that actually feels like the end of a journey. Finally, to top all of this off, I would like to note that this episode also ends with probably the only decent use of the song Hey Digimon, and the final scene with the narration by Ty really leaves one with a sense of optimism. A great ending to a great season that leaves the audience only wishing for more. Okay, now that that's out of the way, I'm going to take some time to give my thoughts on a normative future for this franchise. Well, like I said in another video, the fact that the entire series was shown again early in 2008, along with the release of Digimon Data Squad, really indicates that this series still holds some popularity even to this day. After all, very few Fox Kids programs have seen a rerun, as far as I know. Not even Tasmania. Predictably, these events enabled far greater access to the show, most notably on the internet, and have caused many of the older fans to revisit the series. Now, just because it will inevitably come up, should there be a sixth season? No, absolutely not. I know most viewers will disagree, but from what I can extrapolate, that would only hurt the franchise. See, the common suggestions I've gathered for a sixth season are a continuation of either the Adventure, Timeline, or Tamers. A direct sequel to Zero Two would be a really bad idea because it would be about the descendants of the first two groups, and no one could get used to the idea of the original characters even more reduced to the status of supporting characters. Besides, what made the original so enduring was that first group of characters, and if we see them, we want to see them properly portrayed, and that's exceedingly difficult when they are adults, and when the original voice actors are not needed. Second, Tamers is just not made for a sequel. It tied up all the loose ends and has no more stories to tell. Runaway Locomon was an attempt at continuation, and we all know how well that turned out. Plus, with each season, the franchise almost always gets worse. So, I could be wrong, but I just don't think another season will do much good. An actual continuation of the story wouldn't work because the grand scheme of it all has reached its end. Because, in the syntax of George Lucas, the real story, the story of the 7 kids at summer camp, is over. All I want for the future of Digimon is for it to be remembered as a good program, and maybe for that hasty criticism of it being a Pokemon knockoff to finally end. However, if there is another addition to the story, it should be a movie. And I know most of you will disagree, but it should be a movie based on Season 2. The reason I think this is because there are some things in that season that didn't have proper closure, such as the whole Dark Undersea Master thing. This would be a good opportunity to fill in some plot holes and maybe even give the series an actual full-length film, instead of the pumped-up TV specials. If released in the West, it could actually gain some interest for the franchise if done correctly, because a common criticism against the Digimon movie would be remedied. As for direction, there are only 2 individuals I would trust: Hayao Miyazaki and Shizuki Kaneko. For the longest time, I have wondered what Digimon could be in the hands of either of these terrific directors, considering the astonishing work they have done with adaptations and reboots. Sadly, to get Miyazaki to work on it would be all but a dream, but for Kaneko it is possible. After all, he did reinvent Gamera, and has done a great job in giving character to giant monsters. Also, you have to keep in mind that Diaboromon Strikes Back was not released in the US until 4 years after Season 2, so it could be possible to have the original voice actors involved. So, if anyone ever mingles with the Digimon franchise again, this is what I think holds the greatest potential for success. And if anyone disagrees, that's fine. I most certainly don't know what will happen and your guess is as good as mine concerning where Digimon will be in many years. But only time will tell what will eventually become of an obscure, underrated franchise whose memory endures to this day.